All right, so today we'll be on a topic close to my heart, and it is one of the four attachment styles. So I'm going to actually sort of maybe work backwards. Secure, we've talked about, and secure literally is the secure attachment. Okay, so just gonna fix the camera up. So 60% of the world's population. So healthy communication, minimum protest behavior. Protest behavior, for those who need to know it, is a maladaptive way of communicating. So instead of saying, if it's say you send a text. I mean, this is a really baseline example, and it's so relevant in today. So someone who is secure, so you've got two secure people, which is ideal. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how many secure people are with secure people. You can be secure with anxious attachment, and the anxious preoccupied will level out. So they're your healthy ones. So not to be nasty and critical, in real terms, the rest are unhealthy. So the other 40% of people out there can have healthy relationships if they work it out. If someone takes the time to read attachment style, understands childhood, understands behaviors, it's the behavior more than the person. They're actually nearly separate things, but you probably don't want to think like it in those terms. But you can see people exhibit distasteful behavior. You can, that we all have done things in our life that we deeply regret. And that was our behavior at that time, and not necessarily us in full control, because we all have breaking points. We all have those days where we can't take that one more thing. Someone comes along with that one more thing, and they take the full brunt of your overwhelm and inability to cope at that moment in time. So I'm gonna label the video "Runaway Bride equals fearful avoidant." I'm tackling Runaway Bride because it's an example of what I've been through, and countless other people have been through numerous times in their life. It's a common thing on dating sites of what gets labeled in coffee shop talk as ghosting. And then the people that ghost get labeled as being narcissistic, chauvinistic, mean, bitchy, shallow, any negative phrase you want to come up with. Dismissive avoidant are more likely to be more worthy of those negative terms. Dismissive would be, not through any fault of their own, but it's a behavior learned from childhood of workaholic parents, no love, no nurturing, no understanding of, like, in the love languages of quality time. There's literally no quality time had. It's probably plenty of gift giving had, which some people are happy with, but each to their own. But there's probably not much physical touch. I mean, they could actually have intimacy, but it's on a very transactional level where they both get the gratification and that's the end of it. There's actually no actually somatic co-regulation bonding taking place, where they're actually soothing the anxiousness in the other person. So I'm gonna need coffee to get through this. So not Chat GPT. I decided to use Gemini today. it's written me a script, and I don't usually like being scripted. I don't. I like to improv, and I'll probably improv on the script. However, I was in a dilemma of how do I introduce this so it's palatable to the masses? And I was either going to launch in with the layman's terms of fearful avoidant, then go into a more clinical approach of what it is, how it's manifested, and the behaviors. Then I'm thinking I'm going to alienate too many people, and probably a bunch of people switched off already because this is just rambling and not really going anywhere. So the consensus between me and Gemini was, let's launch into a film that you may have watched more than once called Runaway Bride from 1999, a considerable time ago, 25 years, in fact, 26, if you want to be precise. Have a think about it. 1/4 of a century later, people are utterly, completely devoid of the knowledge base of what that film was based on. And it was based, well, I'm not going to say it's based on, but it is a prime example of fearful avoidant. So what was the film about, in case you haven't seen it? I haven't watched it for a while, and I was going to watch it as part of my research. I've got a lot of vague memories of it, particularly the shorts that were shown on TV to advertise it. So if I get something wrong, I'm sure you'll let me know. So the script is blah, blah. Welcome back to the channel today, where we are talking about an attachment style that perfectly explains the character of Maggie Carpenter in the 1999 classic Runaway Bride. Maggie is the woman who left 7 men at the altar, not because, and this is so, so important. This is the first time me reading this, and I can tell you this is my improv. The line I just read is of paramount understanding if you want to even get close to understanding fearful avoidant. An attachment style that is in 7 to 15% of the people out there, and they predominantly occupy dating sites. So, forewarned of this information, forearmed with this knowledge, will help you navigate that system. So, again, Maggie is the woman who left 7 men at the altar, not because she didn't love them. She loved them, but because she literally couldn't handle the commitment when it finally arrived. Remember that scene where she eats breakfast with her fiance, suddenly realizes she doesn't even know how she likes her eggs. She was completely losing her identity to fit his life. That deep, paralyzing fear is the heart of what we call fearful avoidant attachment. The ultimate come here, go away style. It's the attachment style that craves love but is absolutely terrified of intimacy. They want a partner, but they push that partner away the moment they get too close. You see the push-pull in other films like, and I will reference them later, there are more. I was somewhat interested, there are more than that one film, which is great, because maybe if you don't know Runaway Bride, you'll know the others. I don't even think I know the names of the others yet. So, but why? Why does someone keep repeating the painful cycle? It's not a character flaw. Well, that just debunks everything I told you. It's a deeply wired survival mechanism. I stand corrected, which makes it more serious. Okay. So, I mean, I could dance around that and go, your character exhibits the survival mechanism. To understand it, we have to look past the surface level drama and dive into the clinical reasons, which is where where the term disorganized attachment comes from. So they are interchangeable. Everyone, fearful avoidant, you'll read in some books, magazines, as the fourth attachment style. It, particularly in attached, it gets labeled as disorganized. So I will need to pause this video to get to the references for the other film. Okay, so here we go. So number one, which is the film which I figure is the most known film to represent this attachment style. The movie Runaway Bride 1999, starring Julia Roberts as Maggie Carpenter and Richard Gere as Ike. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the character's name. Ike Graham follows a simple but compelling premise. The protagonist, Maggie Carpenter, is a charming, beautiful woman from a small town in Maryland who has a persistent and baffling problem. She leaves men at the altar. Over the course of the film, she is shown to have attempted marriage 4 times, running at the last minute each time. The catalyst, like Graham, a cynical New York columnist, writes a harsh, sensationalized article about Maggie, calling her the runaway bride. He is fired when Maggie writes a detailed complaint proving his facts were wrong. She had only run away 3 times at that point, not 7. The plot: to get his job back, Ike proposes a deal. He will travel to Maggie's hometown, research his story properly, and write a nuanced, updated piece about her upcoming 5th attempt at marriage to a local high school football coach, Bob Kelly. So, scrolling up, the conflict. As Ike spends time with Maggie, he is captivated by her. She, in turn, finds herself falling for Ike. Drawn to his intellectual challenge and honesty, the emotional pressure escalates as the wedding day approaches. The climax: due to her pattern, Maggie runs away again, leaving Coach Bob at the altar. However, the experience of having Ike truly see her apologies, I'll read it again. However, the experience of having Ike truly see her forces her to confront her fear. The resolution: Maggie travels to New York, apologizes to Ike, and takes time to work on herself. She eventually proposes to Ike, this time on a horse, mirroring a wedding day fantasy from her childhood. And in a private ceremony, she successfully goes through with the marriage, breaking her lifelong pattern. Whoa, that was quite a revelation for yours truly to read that, because it tends to miss out on the deactivation cycle and the cycling back. But she did it. Okay, she did it. And let's not forget, it is a Hollywood film. Okay, so the people out there who are that runaway bride probably just don't fix themselves up overnight. It could take as long as it takes, and it could take therapy, it could take support from colleagues, and it can take meeting the right person who can heal. Someone who understands the triggers. So we will, let me just work out if there's other films. We'll go into the other films and then back to actually what it is. So I undoubtedly have said something to Gemini, and I'm going to read it. I think I asked for other films because it's so much easier for me personally using Gemini. Whatever your thoughts on AI, you can have them, but if you actually just want to use it for scholarly articles and deep evidence-based research, I actually find it really useful. So once you recognize the pattern, you see fearful avoidant behavior in many well-known films, particularly in protagonists who struggle with commitment and push-pull dynamics. Here are a few well-known films that strongly exhibit fearful avoidant attachment. So I'll be interested in what these films are. Films exhibiting fearful avoidant behavior. 1, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004. Oh, okay, it's got Kate Winslet in it, so it must be quite well known. Yours truly is not a film buff. Character, Clementine Krusniski. Interesting. Should look it up, maybe. Maybe it's Slavic. Could be super interesting. Behavior. Clementine is the epitome of the FA style. So if I can, I'll abbreviate it instead of saying fearful avoidant all the time. She craves deep connection and emotional fusion, the anxious side. So let's have a think about this. So you have secure, it's one single word, it's one single thing. You have anxious, preoccupied. 2 words, still the same thing. You're anxious and being preoccupied coexist with it. Then you have dismissive, avoidant. 2 terms, however, neither of them are good because you don't really care what your partner says, and then you can avoid what your partner says. Don't expect any Prince Charmings who have a dismissive, avoidant behavior, and don't expect any princesses as well. They will be cold little frogs. So he will hop away. So yeah, so Clementine's the epitome of the FA style. She craves deep connection and emotional fusion, the anxious side. Yet constantly sabotages her relationships by being moody, impulsive, and seeking radical change, like changing her hair color dramatically. Now, I'd actually challenge that. I would not say I'm not familiar with that at all as being a characteristic in it. If it is, I'll do some more research on it because I actually find them quite consistent. We haven't met enough of them. So I go on and learning some things along with you people. So when intimacy becomes stable, she panics, leading her to erase her memories of Joel. Her immediate rush into a new intense relationship with Patrick, the technician, after the erasure perfectly illustrates the FA tendency to seek closeness but avoid authentic connection. Now, I have a friend, and we've gone over this a lot. So there's been a lot of long, intense conversations about this happening to this guy. However, they do not always, just remember this is one example of it, okay? So there are the ones that go into deactivation and they just shut people out. They might have superficial flirtations. They might have intimacy, but it probably be transactional. But it's not is not usually, doesn't usually fit into the definition of it. So because once they get the anxious side of it, they stay in it. Like once they can lock on. This guy said, you read about it online a lot. You read about this amazing month or 3 months that people have together. The women write and go, oh my God, I was like, met this most amazing guy who's just with me, introduced me to family, got me flowers, chocolate, said how much he loved me, had incredible intimacy, cuddled, hugged, and something happens. Maybe it's about marriage. Maybe marriage comes up, and all of a sudden, alarm bells go off. Go, marriage? I'm just really happy with the way things are, and that commitment, that horrid cloud comes over them from that the guy's fearful avoidant, he's co-regulating. So maybe he's met someone secure, so they can sleep in a bed together. And go research your hugging, what hugging does to people. With your dopamine releases, your hormonal releases, oxytocin releases, it's actually a chemical reaction. And even intimacy, as in, yes, being as intimate as you can, take it in that way, bonds you to a partner. So it's even more shocking for the non-fearful avoidant partner to go through the deactivation of the other one. It's like they've like bonded, and literally this couple is one person. You hear stories of people from a fearful avoidant relationship, and they've gone off and spoken to married couples, and this is not to minimize married couple relationships at all, but some married couples have said to someone who's been in a relationship with fearful avoidant that there were moments in that fearful avoidant relationship that was never experienced in a marriage, that just the complete offering of body and soul to the person is quite unprecedented, because of the anxiety drives them harder than if they're secure, because they mightn't be guarded. If you're secure, you might just be a little bit guarded, and maybe I just won't give all of myself just yet. But the anxious just throws themselves into it. Here's me, take every part of me, every flaw, every scar on my body, every past relationship I've been through. This is yours on the table. And you still love me because of it, I'll love you even more. So that can happen, and sometimes it doesn't happen, that they will immediately jump into something. There's a lot of data, they'll jump straight back on a dating site, but it's so superficial, because they go from having someone in their life going, I love you, want to be with you, daily communication, and it's healthy in that context. It's actually healthy. It's not unhealthy, even though in the preamble I said it was. But when it's working as effective communication, and it's co-regulation, which is debatable if it's healthy, unhealthy, okay, but it is what it is, because you have co-regulation and it's secure. So we'll go on to the next film. So film number 2 is Gone Girl, 2014, a bit more recent. Character, Amy June. Actress, Rosamund Pike. Behavior. While Amy's behavior escalates far beyond simple attachment issues into psychopathy, okay, her original relationship dynamic is rooted in fearful avoidance. She and Nick are initially drawn together by an intense, idealized closeness, anxious. However, When the reality of marriage sets in, she feels betrayed, misunderstood, and abandoned. Her violent, manipulative reaction is an extreme dysfunctional coping mechanism to punish Nick for the perceived abandonment, while simultaneously trying to force him into an ideal role. A characteristic extreme push-pull that originates in disorganized attachment. Oh yes, this is familiar to me, and I have gotten it from reading about it and friends who have experienced it. Absolutely, it's like some of these people with fearful avoidant attachment style, I think they're jinx. They just don't get why it happens, and they'll go off and talk to their girlfriends and boyfriends, male friends about it, and guys will talk to their mates about it, going, "Oh my god, this woman just left me," and the women are like, "Oh my god, this guy just took off." Everything, it was just, I did nothing wrong. I can't understand it. But of course, guess what? The masses who don't know anything about it will come up with, "Oh, let's just go to the simple thing. Oh, maybe there was someone else. Maybe they were cheating. Let's not have me actually think that there could be something else going on, because the television told me if two people have a problem, they're cheating. That's all I know, and that's all it can be." It can be an absolute ton of different things. So, all right, just let me mute that, because I don't know if you heard that alert. All right, so we got up to Blue Valentine 2010, number 4 film. So we've got character Cindy Haler, who is played by Michelle Williams, and Dean Pereira, played by Ryan Gosling. Behavior. This film is a painful portrait of two people with highly insecure attachment styles, often cycling through FA traits. They both crave closeness but don't know how to maintain it. And this is the important part. Cindy is avoidant, shutting down, pulling away, and becoming distant when things get difficult. Dean is anxiously attached, becoming clingy, desperate, overly emotional when she pulls away. Oh yes, this is incredibly familiar to me. Their inability to regulate their needs or communicate constructively results in a push-pull cycle and ultimately destroys their marriage, a hallmark of relationships between two insecurely attached people. I think 2010, that's quite interesting. That's when that VK article was written as well. I need to do more research on getting what stats I can on successful marriages. It's something I really like to dig deep into, is the concepts of, like, I've always wanted to see a statistic on actual happily married couples, not married couples, but actually happily married couples who would rather not be with anyone else in the world but their current married partner. And I will be cynical and would estimate it as probably less than 10% of people who are married. There's marriages of conveniences, there's marriage for financial benefit, there's marriages held together by children, and there's probably marriages held together by attachment styles as well. But if it's secure, then it's healthy. So I'm going to, I think, do this in 2 parts, or I'm just going to work something out. So I just have to check on something. Okay, so will not be as good as my hero YouTuber who just does unedited videos. I've had to stop that and research something. So, but I'm going to join it together, so I'm going to cheat. Anyway, just for consistency. So there's your 4 films. I'm going to research later on about successful relationships. Like, what we got to understand with this is there's limited data on it. There's limited information that I'll look up when the attached book was written. It was written a while ago, and it's been around for years. It's been around for, I would say, decades, if not hundreds of years. And there are Slavic writers who have done it. I remember talking to someone in a Slavic country, and they said, we don't go to psychologists here. We are our own psychologist, which could account for an awful lot of the issues in that country. They said they didn't discount psychology. They said they couldn't afford it. However, if you're not going to go out and read books like Attached and the Love Languages and actually read books, you really just don't wake up and are a qualified psychologist and can analyze stuff. You'll analyze it with your culture, which was what the VK 8 points of why the world doesn't want a Russian bride anymore. Those points, a lot is cultural, but it's all layers. It's never, never, never one thing. It is layer, 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 layer. This, and this. That's why there's things like multiple diagnoses and dual diagnoses. You don't just walk around and have one thing wrong with you. It is highly unlikely that you would just, someone who has depression often actually has anxiety that coexists alongside of it. So what I wanted to was to bring this around to a discussional topic of something that can be familiar in your lives, of phrases that get used in everyday life, which are not textbook clinical usage. I'm trying to make it palatable to the people who have been confused about relationships, just completely not understood, while something that seemed utterly amazing, possibly the best relationship in their life, crashed and burned through no fault of their own. And when you get people just going, maybe they, maybe this, it does not help. If you don't know what you're talking about, it's probably not a good idea to talk. So, because you actually make it worse. It's like if someone's looking for an answer and you know this much, when there's that much to know, why is the person going to listen to you? You're talking about that, and what they might need to know is over here. You don't even know it. So, oh, what's the other thing that's like a pet peeve? Is people not in a relationship giving relationship advice. Nothing worse in the world. I'm not in a relationship. Oh, you think you've met someone? Let me give you some advice. And I'm like, and you're not in a relationship? Why? And they can spiel you, I'm just not ready yet. And it's like, there's probably a much deeper reason for it. So what's the phrase we know? Commitment issues. You will find people talk to you through their life and say, I have commitment issues. And you may wonder where that comes from. You may wonder why they have commitment issues. Some of it's, you're just not willing to make the commitment. You're just selfish. You're just not responsible. You're just this. You're just that. But let's just not say, I'm really sorry to hear that, because I understand that you've had childhood trauma, which has led you to be this way, which has led you in a complete unwillingness to be in your way of having commitment issues. And have you thought about finding someone to talk to about it? Let's not do that. Hey, let's just not be humane, compassionate, and empathetic to deeply traumatized people and simplify it to simplistic terms within your own realm of comprehensibility to borderline personality, narcissistic, victim blaming. Let's just blame that victim for not being able to have a commitment, because guess what? They were born into the world from parents. There was no consent in that birth. They weren't asked, would you like to be born? How many people go, no, thanks, I think I'm good? It's like, how many of us out there who have been programmed in society to respect their parents, to be thankful for our life? I've mentioned Daniel Mackler about breaking from parents, and he talks about family as a cult. If it is unhealthy, if Mother's Day comes around and you don't want to see your mother, don't go see your mother. Do what's right for you. Don't go and see someone that's mean-spirited to you, critical of you, and actually makes you feel bad. Don't do it. It's totally okay not to see a parent that you do not walk away from feeling good. You don't owe them a single solitary thing. There's no consent from you to be born. So, how commitment issues relate to avoidant styles. So where does it come from? The general phrase commitment issues in everyday language does indeed cover both dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment styles, but for slightly different reasons. And it's really important what the difference is. In general, commitment issues is a layman's umbrella term for someone who resists or runs from serious long-term relationships. Now, how commitment issues relate to avoidance styles. Here is how the common phrase maps to the two specific avoidance styles. Attachment style 1. Okay, so yes, this is on fearful avoidant, and I could gleefully not tell you about dismissive. It's not going to hurt for you to get the nuanced differences, because they can be lumped together. In the attachment style book, Attached, unfortunately, there wasn't enough research at the time to really talk about disorganized at length. It tended to be under the umbrella of avoidant. But they're significantly different, and this is what it is. The dismissive avoidant, they generally do not need a high level of intimacy to feel secure. They value independent, self-sufficiency and emotional distance, which is no good if you're anxious, preoccupied. And even if you're secure, you still might not have needs met, because you can effectively communicate and the dismissive avoidant cannot effectively communicate. So, commitment feels like a loss of freedom or a threat to their autonomy. Okay? So, that's the uniqueness of it. That's 100% that for the dismissive avoidant. The fearful avoidant has some of that in it. But, so the layman's perception, the effect. So what are these people like? The dismissive avoidant. Cold, selfish, uninterested. They simply pull away and stop contacting you when things get serious. Okay, that's interesting, because some of Well, I need to dig deeper on this, because some of them dismissives get married. Some dismissive avoidance get married to dismissive avoidance, and it works a treat. That's the one I mentioned, where a couple might have their full working week to themselves and see each other on a weekend, and that's their relationship. They go, I've got a boyfriend, see him Saturday, Sunday. And some of his like anxiously attachment is like, that's your relationship. It's like, so for some people it could be more like friends with benefit type stuff going on. So how would they do in a marriage if they simply pull away, stop contacting you when things get serious? Ghosting people. We all know in this day and age, ghosting. Okay. So is it are they cold, selfish, and uninterested? Yes, in the layman's terms they are, but do you know why they are? Do you know the why they are those things? Childhood. The way the parents brought the child up. That's the reason why. So, 2, fearful, avoidant, in brackets, disorganized, and this is what this video is about. And what's the difference? Please take note. Dismissive, think about the word dismissive. Class dismissed. You are dismissed, i.e., go away. Go away. Finished the conversation. Dismissed. Not interested in further communication. The dismissive avoidant generally do not need a high level of intimacy to feel secure, versus the other avoidant, fearful. They desperately want intimacy and connection, but they are terrified of being vulnerable, abandoned, or hurt. Commitment triggers intense anxiety, leading to a frantic push-pull cycle where they seek closeness, panic, and then run away. And then, it doesn't say there, they can run back, and then they can run away, and then they can run back, and then they can run away. And if you're here and you can manage that, you could actually be together. You can do it, but if you are secure and you like that person enough, you will manage it. Layman's terms, what are they? What do they get labeled in society? Hot and cold. Oh, here run, hot and cold. Runs hot and cold. One day he likes me, next he doesn't. It's all a bit confusing. And then that gets like thrown across into narcissism. However, I looked it up. Believe it or not, your dismissive avoidant is more prone to be narcissistic than your fearful avoidant. And strangely enough, I read that your anxious, preoccupied can have narcissistic traits. They are prone to narcissism. However, I don't know. I would probably label myself at the moment leaning into anxious, preoccupied with a toe dipped in secure. So because now I can flag it. Now I can just go, they're dismissive, I'm not going there. They're this, I'm not going there. Oh, they seem healthy and secure. Let's investigate a bit more. So hot and cold, confused. They're just confused. I got told when I discussed this topic, someone says, at what price? At what price will that person welcome that person into their life? They might be moving countries. They might, for work, to be with the person. It happens a lot in this day and age with the internet and overseas relationships. It's not unusual. Someone could be working in another country and meet their beloved in that country. No plans to do it, but they were going to further their career, or they were going on a working vacation. Just so many different reasons. So you're fearful avoidant in layman's perception. They are the classic runaway bride who gets to the altar and flees, only to call you a week later, begging for a second chance. It can be a lot longer than a week, let me tell you. It can be 6 months. It was in the attached book. I actually looked this up. Sorry. I mean, you might as well understand things the way these people work. I'm not making it up. I'll find you the reference if you want it. Someone wrote and said 17 years later, their fearful avoidant contacted them. In the meantime, this person obviously might have worked on themselves if they had issues, or if they didn't have issues, they probably found a secure partner, did the marriage and the kids and whatever. But I just found that interesting because I've tried to do timelines on this, if you can work it out. Now, the complexity is this, and it's not going to make sense. A lot of it doesn't make sense. It's probably not going to make sense, but this is how it goes. So the fearful avoidant, want to be loved. This person goes, oh, they're interesting. Oh, you're interesting. Oh, needs are met. They're like this, incredibly close, closer than some married couples. They're like that, just not apart, happy, content, sharing everything. Then the deactivation happens. I've got to get out of here. I've forgotten how I like my eggs. Oh, I've forgotten this. I've given up all this thing. Does this person ask for that? No, they don't. They don't say, I don't think you should go there anymore. This person will go, oh, I won't go to there because I want to be with him because my anxiety is pushing it. All right. So they will come back because what happens is, I don't know who I am. They go away. In the meantime, this person's like, what has happened? And this person's like, who am I? And whatever time it takes, go, oh, I remember who I am. I'm a little bit lonely. Ooh, let's go back to him. Whatever. And then that happens, then that happens, then that happens, then that happens. This person, if they work on it, and if this person wants to go, why am I doing this? I don't want to leave the person. Why am I doing it? And then I read something and go, there's some fundamental flaw in me from childhood. What can I do to make myself feel better? And it can be done. So there's a little bit more in here. The key difference. The crucial difference that determines which style you're dealing with is the internal motivation. The dismissive avoidants are running away from vulnerability and emotional need. So I'm struggling a little bit myself on why the dismissive runs away from vulnerability. I guess it's because they haven't experienced in their life. They're taught, be strong, don't rely on anyone. Look at mum and dad. They didn't really sort of need each other. I guess they got together because they could even get together for a climb up the social ladder and the career ladder. Remember there was a very old show, it was American, called Bewitched. And Darren in that, it was like a societal bar, shall we say. If you were married with kids and you were in the workforce, that was a plus. Are you married? You're married. Boss goes, you need to work, feed the wife. You got kids, even better. You need to work harder to feed the kids. You got a mortgage, you need to even work harder. You're probably not going to leave me. So it was advantageous to be in a relationship in regards to the employment that you got. So, and that's why a dismissive avoidant could do it. It could be societal status, because if you're locked in a relationship, you're probably gonna be thought as being responsible, faithful, monogamous, and marriage and those things don't necessarily go hand in hand. So fearful avoidance are running away from vulnerability and emotional pain and running toward connection at the same time. This is why it's so incredibly hard to understand. So incredibly, can you imagine it? At the same time. It doesn't look like it. It just looks like, whoa, found my loved one, so happy, this is awesome, I'm not alone anymore, I can share a bed, I can cuddle, I'm getting dopamine hits, oxytocin hits, I'm feeling awesome. Girlfriends are like, oh, you've got someone, I'm so happy. Then it's like, I just couldn't do it. I just felt like I had to give this up and that up, and I wasn't sure who I was anymore. And you go, oh, so sorry to hear that. So in both cases, however, the result is a difficulty in sustaining a deep long-term commitment, which is why both are accurately grouped under the general commitment issue label. So that's that part. There's one more part I want to do before I end the video. This is a bit of a mammoth video, but we might as well wrap it up into a bundle. There was something I asked Gemini why a dismissive avoidant seeks relationships. It's biological drive, external social status, convenience and support. Temporary validation. Yeah. What a reason to get married, hey? Just nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with love. So I'll try and get through this somewhat quick because I've reiterated and reframed these things in as many different ways as I can think is possible. So we'll quickly go into layman's terms, clinical terms, and dynamics, and that will wrap this up. Trust me, I'll be revisiting this. Trust me. This is one of the most complicated ones in it. And if someone stumbles over this video and it's answered a question, this has been worth it. I'm not after subscribers, likes. I'm not after anything. This is cathartic for me. And I know people need to know this stuff. So if I deliver it in a way that's palatable, then that's awesome. If people log on and think I'm just a raving lunatic who should be locked up, that's awesome as well. So quickly through this, fearful avoidant attachment, layman's terms. The fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment style is a mix of anxious and avoidant styles. Think of it as a constant internal tug of war. Concept, layman's explanation. Core conflict. They crave intimacy and connection, but at the same time, they are terrified of getting too close because they are certain they'll be hurt. They want love, but push it away. Think about that. Please, people, can you think about that instead of jumping to irrational victim blaming things? I've got a friend in India and she's just like, Bradley, these women that play games, they're not playing games. They're not. There are some people that do that. It's minimalistic. It's not really worth a statistic. Of course, there are women that enjoy the attention, but that's not what fearful avoidant is. I won't even go into social media and say that's what it is. So hot and cold, they often appear unpredictable. Yeah, well, I've been hit with unpredictable behavior. A lot of friends were just like, we can't work it out. You tell them how it went. Can't work it out. Can't work it out. I couldn't work it out. I've got friends who have been through this. There's that saying of it used to be framed as mental health, whereas like that feel like I'm walking on eggshells thing, and that was around long before attachment style was. But then you also have I mean, this comes from trauma, but then you'll have people with PTSD. This is almost a light branding of PTSD. It's hypervigilance. It's constant worry. It's like, I've got to get out of here type thing. Relationship view. Relationship. Oh, I just read that. And I did. If you see me laugh at things, it's not because I actually find that they're funny. Not often. It's actually that they're highly relatable. Relationships feel like a minefield. They can't trust the other person is safe, but they also can't stand to be alone. They are stuck in a loop of, I need you, go away. Okay. Nickname. I've not heard it. I've not, in all the books I've read, I have not heard this one. Nickname, sometimes called the come here, go away attachment style. I would like to look up where that phenomena of, because I thought it was this one, but I don't think it is. But there is a thing that, dare I say, women, I've heard it more that women do it of, I don't want you, but no one else can have you. I'm going to have to look up what's the driving factor in that one. We've all had it. It's like, oh, they sort of were seeing me, but then they can't see me, and then they get jealous if I see someone else, but they can't give me what I want. I have to actually do some research on what the core driver in that of they don't want me, but they don't want anyone else to have me. You might say it's jealousy. I'm sure it's something. I'll even look up where jealousy comes from. So, fearful, avoidant attachment, clinical terms and dynamics. 1, clinical terminology. The fearful avoidance style is most often referred to in clinical and academic literature as disorganized attachment. This term was coined by researchers Main and Solomon, 1986. It's a while ago, but I mean, we're not going back like 100 years, are we? Clinical term, disorganized attachment. Definition, the term used for this style in infancy and childhood, characterized by a lack of coherent strategy for coping with distress or seeking comfort. You can ponder that. Internal working models, in brackets IWM. An FA person has inconsistent and contradictory internal working models. They simultaneously hold the belief, I am unlovable. Think about it. They're walking around going, I am unlovable. Maybe it's rejection from a parent. Maybe it's someone forms addiction issues after marriage, which could be a result of them not understanding that person being fearful avoidant. It's all very layered, isn't it? It's like one thing triggers the other thing, triggers the other thing, triggers the other thing. And it's very rarely, if you got this, which goes to this, which goes to this, which goes to that, don't come in and go, I'm going to analyze this. Go back, have a look at that, where it all started. So others are unsafe, unreliable, the anxious part. All right, so the unlovable part's the avoidant part. All right. The approach they have and the avoidance conflict. The psychological state of wanting to approach an attachment figure for comfort while simultaneously being compelled to avoid them due to fear, leading to disorganized and contradictory behavior. I'll read that slower. So the approach that they have and the avoidance conflict, and we're talking about fearful here, not dismissive. The psychological state of wanting to approach an attachment figure for comfort while simultaneously being compelled to avoid them. Yep. Okay. So I want to be loved. I have the innate desire unmet desire from childhood. I see these people around me, my friends. There's actually a thing that says the fearful avoidance feel and know they are different. They know there's something not quite right. They see their neighbors. Oh, Svetlana and Vladimir are happily married, kids, go out on dates. It's like Tom and Betty have it together. They've got the model family. I can't. How come that hasn't happened to me? They know something's not quite right, and they try and fall in love, and then it's intense, and it's incredibly intense, and it's incredibly good for the other person. They're like, whoa, I don't think this sort of thing really happened in life. And the fearful avoidant could be like, I didn't know that I could have someone like you. Then it's like the deactivation happens, the switch. So it's not even slow. It can happen overnight. Just wake up and go, I can't do this anymore. 2, oh, look, childhood causes. Who would have thought? The fearful avoidance style is rooted in childhood environment where the primary caregiver was a source of both comfort and fear or overwhelming distress. The caregiver as a safe haven and a source of danger. The child needs to go to the parent for safety, but approaching the parent is also frightening or painful. Yeah, so you're there, trauma, something happened at school, really need to talk to mum about this. Mum's going to scream at me and abuse me. And the push-pull. Inconsistent and unpredictable care. The caregiver's responses were highly unpredictable, sometimes loving, sometimes neglectful, frightening, abusive, or highly erratic. Have a think about that. The parents of the grown, mature adult next to you, and you want to victim blame them. And guess who victim blames? Oh, there's dismissive avoidance are awesome in this one. Oh, they just need to get over it. They just need to harden up. They just need to move on. Oh, look at me, I'm all right. Most of the people going, oh, I'm all right, couldn't be further from being all right. You actually dig a bit deeper and go, dude, did they let you out of the asylum for the weekend? So frightening parental behavior. The parent may have been emotionally volatile, struggling with addiction. I've referenced that. Mental health issues, also referenced. Exhibited outright neglect or abuse, physical, verbal, or emotional. And going on to that, you cycle of violence, get physical, verbal. I knew someone that thought love was being hit by their partner. Their father hit them, and that was the only connection they had. The only time they were connected was their father abusing them. Then they go, Daddy loves me when he hits me. Then they go out and find a guy, and the guy is not violent, and they will push this guy as hard as they can into being abusive. And that's when the men just walk away. So parenting, and it's not that person deliberately going out. I mean, that's why, there's sayings, I love the bad boy. I even had a woman say to me, she is comfortable in what she called a toxic relationship because she couldn't relate to a healthy one. It's like, if you talk to people long enough, the things that they will tell you is like, and this research is done from consent from patients saying, get it out there. It's like they get asked, they remain anonymous. It can be from self-surveys. So 3, relationship dynamics. The fearful avoidant person experiences high emotional volatility and internal confusion in adult relationships. The push-pull. They will suddenly become intensely close, sharing deep feelings and expressing strong commitment, driven by the anxious need for intimacy side. The need for intimacy side. Only to rapidly withdraw, express doubts, find flaws in the partner, driven by the avoidant fear of the intimacy side. Let's just take a deep breath, everyone. How often is this normalized in society? How often is it that someone's saying, I had to stop seeing so-and-so, couldn't see him anymore. And all the mates, the girls gather to the relevant partner. Oh, that's really bad. I'm sorry to hear that they were like that. Really sorry to hear that they were a disappointment to you. If only they, your partner, could have done something. When that partner did nothing but love the fearful avoidant, but they'll frame it as that, as the consequence of bad parenting. So let's just take a deep breath. Someone's going, had to leave them because of. Did they really? Did that person really even do what they've been accused of? They might just be, oh, he's too needy, too clingy, but they might have been perfectly unacceptable boundaries, but it was too needy for that person, the fearful avoidant. So, hypervigilance. They constantly scan their partner's behavior for any sign of rejection or abandonment, the anxious trait, or any sign of control or engulfment, avoidant trait. Can you imagine what that is? Think about it. There is sort of, it seems really good when it's the anxious trait, because you're just getting nothing but unconditional love. But then the light switch goes off overnight and you just becomes a normal behavior. Oh, look forward to seeing so-and-so tonight. We'll cuddle by the fireplace, watch TV, more than likely intimacy, wake up, let's do it again. Then one night, that's just gone. They are just gone. And it's this. It's not that you, if it happened to you, you did nothing wrong. If you were left by fearful avoidance, you did nothing wrong but love a person and weren't aware that this was gonna be an inevitable outcome of it, unless you could learn that they needed the space and you gave it to them. I mean, secure people do it, but if you're anxious, I'm going to need to read up on how secures deal with this, whether they just back off and go, oh, I get it, you know, have your space. I'm here when you're ready for me. That's a common saying. It happens a lot. Some people leave and go, just know I'm here for you when you're ready. Disassociation, self-sabotage. When a relationship gets too good or too close, they often sabotage it to preemptively avoid the inevitable hurt they believe is coming. They break up before they can be broken up with. Remember that one too. Just remember that one. Just take note. Go back. Take a timestamp on this one. Maybe I'll have to timestamp this. Maybe I will. Just remember that one. Disassociation, emotional flooding. Under stress, they may emotionally shut down. This is what I've been prattling on about. Disassociate, freeze, or become severely emotionally flooded. Panic cry. Russian culture, withdrawing into oneself. 4, and here we are. Deactivating strategies. When the relationship feels too close or too demanding, the FA's avoidant side takes over, resulting in deactivating behaviors. Sudden withdrawal, ceasing communication, ghosting, or suddenly becoming cold and unavailable. Focusing on minor flaws, magnifying small issues or imperfections in the partner. Example, I don't like the way they talk to the waiter, to create mental distance and justify withdrawal. Expressing doubt, questioning the relationship their feelings, or the future when things are going well, I won't make a comment on that. Shifting focus to an idealized other, focusing on an ex-partner or hypothetical person who is better to justify leaving the current available partner. Now, ta-da, something that I'll bring it in here, the Phantom X. You might be the Phantom X, so don't worry so much. If you are an FA's partner and you decided to somehow watch this to maybe garnish some information, trust me, there's a thing, the Phantom X, where you could have been the one that healed them. You could have actually been the unicorn that came along for the fearful avoidant. So go and do some research on deactivation and on cycling back. How can I word it? I don't want to give you false hope, but you will find a plethora of the FA always comes back when this happens. When you do this, they come back. And you'll have to learn no contact, where you stop contacting. Your average person in the street that doesn't know attachment style will go, oh, well, if you loved them, you would do this. I had that happen to me. I've had other people happen to me. It's a common thing. Someone who actually a dismissive avoidance said this has been a journey of enlightenment, of learning how to peg people's attachment style. It's valuable information, people. If you're dating and you don't know this information, it's a handy tool to have. You can have a conversation with someone. I can nearly flag them by the end of conversation. This person's dismissive avoidant. This person's secure. This person's anxious. I'm not bragging. I've done it. I've entered it into AI. I said, what do you think this is? And we can get the sentence that they say. We can get the words they said. It's like someone on a dating site I brought it up before, where they critiqued me over something. Why do you have a strange hairstyle? And I wasn't really going to go down a tit for tat path. And there was a woman and the hair was shorter than mine. I said, well, why do you have a strange hairstyle? I just thought you were a woman. Why do you have like a man's hairstyle? I wasn't going to go down that path. I can be petty, but that's getting pretty petty when you just want to attack someone on their looks. But it came up with this person was like, I said, I like daily conversation. Like if you're in another country, because you can't wake up next to them and have a cup of coffee with them, right? It's sort of, you carry that back into when you come home or before you've met them, you have daily conversation. This person seriously thought I was joking. I just said, I like a text daily. They said, are you kidding me? They're just seriously saying, are you kidding me? Daily? Don't you work? I like to come home and relax. And I'll say it. You can think I'm a nasty, horrid person. You think it. You know what I said to him? I said, why are you wasting your time on a dating site? Go and get yourself a dog. Because you know what? You might like to think it, but if men are securely attached and particularly anxiously attached, they actually want communication. They want to spend time with their partner. They want to go out and share their life with their partner, because maybe we should all go and look up what a partner is. It's a cohort. You're cohabitating. You're sharing a life together. To do that, you have to do the things sharing a life together. You don't live under the same roof and don't see each other. You don't go to work and don't text your partner, because it's not a partnership. It's actually something else. So I just flagged this person, you're dismissive avoidant, because you don't even care. You're looking for a man like, I don't talk to this person anymore. I just actually got off this site. I thought, I'm not doing this anymore. So, and I told him, get a dog. So, and then I said, then I got nasty. I shouldn't get nasty, but I'm like, you know what? That's fine. You've been like that, but go take a look in the mirror, woman. It's like you are 50 plus, menopausal. Guys are getting offers from women in their 30s and 40s. Most men in their 50s and that could easily think about going out with a 40-year-old. I'm not going to get into age differences, but it's actually what differences in that woman's life. They're not premenopausal. They're a little bit more youthful. They could even be better looking. So superficial bull, right? I'm just being a shallow male. But if you're going to be a nasty female, if you're going to actually not be nice, then a guy will look for the better option. Are you going to go up? Are you going to take home the dog that bites you at dog pound, or are you going to take home the one that nuzzles into you and is affectionate? Just think about that. If you want to be nasty, cold, distant, just remember there'll be women out there who are capable of a healthy relationship. So it's not good, the dating pool, for nothing. So we'll go back into this and we'll finish it off. So focusing on minor flaws, we did that. Expressing doubt, questioning your relationship, we did that. Shifting focus to an idealized other, we did that. Justify leaving the current apart. But you know what happens when they do that? But I was saying we could be the Phantom X, like the people watching this, you could be the unicorn. You mightn't just be, they mightn't have met the Phantom X and you're the next in line. But if it's superficial, women like validation, particularly on dating sites. If they're not feeling great, they can throw up a profile and get inundated with men going, you are beautiful, hey, hot stuff. And they go, oh, I'm actually don't have to feel bad about myself anymore. I've just been validated. And I have no interest in you guys. It's like, you're like the dog that runs up and smooches. You're like the cat that purrs for a while, but it's like, go away, cat. Enough of you. I feel all right. Or the cat more likely goes away. So emotional walls, erecting strong emotional barriers and refusing to discuss feelings or emotions. I won't comment on that. Oh, I didn't know this was in here. This is really interesting. 5, the possible. And for people watching, the possible return. The return is driven by the anxious side of the FA's attachment system, usually after the immediate threat of intimacy has passed and the fear of abandonment kicks in. Already been discussed. The separation alarm. Once the relationship is truly over, the anxious fear of being alone and losing a connection is triggered. The FA suddenly realizes the loss and begins to miss the connection they pushed away. Keep this in mind, people. Re-idolization. Well, I don't even know if I've read this yet. They may re-idolize the ex-partner and regret the breakup, forgetting all the reasons they pulled away, which were made-up reasons, by the way. They weren't real reasons. Reactivation, hovering. That can lead to them contacting the former partner, often with intense. Oh, I'm going to challenge this. Intense gestures of love or commitment, the hovering state. I've not read this. In fact, this goes against a lot of what I read, where there's breadcrumbs. They very, very timidly re-enter your life. It's a general consensus. It could be, you'll see it. You don't have to listen to me. Go look it up on the internet. There's a ton of guys. There's a guy that does boyfriend recovery. He's awesome. Chris someone, I forget his name. He's awesome. He's a zillion times better than me on this stuff. But generally it's what they call breadcrumb. It's a little bit. It is not. I've never read before that it is intense. I've not read it before. It may be, but a general consensus is very timid because the push-pull, they might just be feeling well enough to go, hey, how are you? And that's it. and you come back with, I'm okay. How are you? And that's it. You do not, if you go, I've missed you, what happened to you, how could you? They then are gone again. If you get to this point, it is slow and steady wins the race. So that, I'm going to go look that up. That's just something that's come out of AI. The repeat cycle. The danger is that if the relationship is resumed, the cycle often repeats. They get close enough to feel safe for a short period, then the fear of intimacy and engulfment is triggered again, leading to another withdrawal. All right, and that is a marathon. If I pin this together, the first one, I don't know what time we're looking at, but I think it's better in this, and I can pull shorts from it. I could even split it up. But if you made it this far, congratulations. If you got something out of it, I thank you for your attention. And I will see you next time.